Main risk factors for preventable chronic diseases are tobacco use, lack of physical activity, and excessive alcohol use. The risk factors have caused unpreventable and preventable diseases like disability and death. To reduce these risk factors, prevent diseases or injury before it ever occurs, reduce the impact of a disease or injury that has already occurred, soften the impact of an ongoing illness or injury that has lasting effects. We all need to invest our time and money in improving healthy lifestyle behaviors by increasing physical activity and improving our diet. By doing this, almost 35% of early deaths will be avoided. Our integrative nutrition health specialist, Betty Olayinka Folarin, aka BOFA, advocates for this every Sunday on Health Corner and Nutrition segments showing on Healthy Living with BOFA channel. Join us every Sunday, 2 p.m. US time, 7 p.m. UK and Nigerian time, 8 p.m. South African time. See you there.
Today on BOFA Health and Nutrition Talk Show, we are advocating on one of the 12 preventable cancer. And we are starting with cervical cancer. Welcome back to Healthy Living with BOFA Talk Show. I'm Dr. Betty. Thank you for joining us again. American Cancer Society reported that human papilloma virus, HPV, causes 9 out of 10 cervical cancers. Remember, I mentioned it last week. I said HPV is one of the factors, the risk factor that causes cancer, and I mean cervical cancer. Now, in 2023, almost 14,000 women in the US will be diagnosed with cervical cancer, and listen, people, almost 4,500 will die from it. That is the bad news. And the reason why they die is because we are not able to do the screening. We are not able to self-examine ourselves. We are not able to eat good. We are not able to live healthy life. Our lifestyle is nothing to talk about. It's affecting our body. That is just the reason why over 4,000 people will die of cervical cancer. Because by the time they go for the test, it's already late. Because when they are seeing the symptoms, they ignored. For example, just the way I did it. If I ignored mine, then I will have breast cancer today. But thank God that I was able to do the screening and take action on time. Let me tell you this. Doctor can say whatever they like. They are not you if you prevent it. That is it. When I went for the screening, mammogram, if doctor said, this will kill me if I don't prevent it, I took steps and I prevented it. I stopped it from growing. Now, how do you do this? How do you prevent it? How do you do it? The only way to do it is through pap test screening. Pap smear test screening. This test can detect this cancer early when it is easier to treat. Yes. Just like what I did to my breast. And what is pap test? Pap test is the test you run every year. Check your uterus, check your cervix, check your vagina, you check it to see if you don't have HPV, human papilloma virus. That is the first step you do. Before you can see anyone diagnosed positively for cancer, cervical cancer, of this uterus cancer, vagina cancer, there must be a test carried out, and that is called pap smear. And that is why this pap smear is recommended for every woman to go and do the test called pap smear test screening, to earlier detect the cancer in our body. The moment you cannot do your test every year, that's a problem. That is when the cell grow. You don't know whether this cell has started growing in your cervix. And when you don't do tests this year, next year, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, even 2 years is too late. Then it might be in second stage or third stage. And when you get to this third stage, it's going to be really tough and hard to save life if you have it on third or fourth stage. I mean, even if you can treat it, if you can cure it at stage 3, what about the pain you will go through? What about the time it will consume from you? What about other people, other family members you will put to stress? No, we can't afford to go through this. That is why we are advocating for prevention, which is better than waiting to cure it. Yes. Pap smear test screening can detect cancer early when it is easier to treat. And for women living in the US, I must tell you this. Testing for HPV has been approved as an additional screening test for cervical cancer. You don't have to be scared. You don't have to worry about the money you are going to pay. Yeah, it has been approved. Go there. All you need to pay is co-pay. You don't have to, except if you don't have health insurance at all. You pay from your pocket. Even with that, it is not that expensive to do this screening. Yes. This test is strictly for women, not for men at all. So now I'm talking to women. I'm not talking to men. And if men have to listen to this, you have to pay attention, sit down, listen to it so that you can educate your wife, your sister, your nieces. You can educate them on this as well. So it's also meant for you, but not for you to carry out this screening. It's for you to be able to educate other women around you. It could be your friend. It could be your wife. It could be your sisters. It could be your, nieces, and so on. Even your co-workers. A lot of people are there next to you at office. They have no idea what cervical cancer is. They have no idea what they should do to prevent it. So this is for you to enlighten them. Now, what else is important to understand when it comes to cervical cancer? What else is important? You need to understand to protect against cervical cancer. The step you need to take to protect against cervical cancer, number 1 is HPV vaccination. Human papillomavirus vaccination. That is the first step you need to take. Yes. And let me tell you, there's an age category of people that can take HPV vaccination. Like me now, I cannot take any HPV vaccination. I'm above the age. All children should be vaccinated against HPV between age 9 and 12. Can you now see that you don't fall into that category? Yes. And this is well before sexual activity begins. If you have a teenager, if you have teen, this age range, you need to take them for HPV vaccination as soon as possible. It's better prevented than cured. If you get them vaccinated now, they'll prevent it. Rather than waiting for them to grow up and they will not be able to prevent it. They will just be making sure that physically they have to prevent it. But if the vaccination has been given, they don't have to worry about it. Even if they had sex with somebody that have HPV, they won't contact it. Yes. The most important thing for future generation in cervical cancer prevention is vaccinating that generation. Let us do that for them now. We need to vaccinate our children. We need to better prepare them for the future. That is what I'm talking about here. Yes. Next is routine screening. Regardless of vaccination status or whether they are sexually active, women should begin having screening tests for cervical cancer in their 20s and continue through age 65. I'm still doing it now. Yes. Until I'm senior. That's when I'll stop doing it. Yes. So now we should begin having this screening, these tests done. I mean cervical cancer screening between age 20s, in their 20s, and continue to age 65. Yes. And please, you want to do something smart. You want to discuss with your doctor the right intervals. You know why I say that? If you are in your 20s and you do it this year, you expected to do it the next year, right? But if you start having symptoms, like I mentioned last week, a lot of symptoms you will see. If you begin to have symptoms, you cannot wait until next year again. You have to take immediate step and see your doctor even before your next test. Of course, when you do it this year, the appointment must have been made. I don't know how it works in Nigeria. If you go for any test today, they will make an appointment for the next one, whether in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 1 year, they will make it for you. You know this is the time you are going. And if you start having symptoms that shows that it might probably be cancer, something, that means you must go. You can't wait till when you have your appointment scheduled. No, you cannot do that. And that is why I said you need to discuss with your doctor the right intervals when you should go. And this is what your doctor will tell you. If you don't have any symptom, you don't have any concern, he will tell you come next year, every year. And if you're a woman, you have fibroids, you have issue with your vagina, you have issue going on with your uterus, that too, your doctor will tell you how often you will do this test. That's another thing. Other than that, if you don't have any issue, you don't have any problem at all, please do your annual screening. Once you are 20, between age 20 and 65, you must do your screening every year, except otherwise. Now, there are screening guidelines you must take into account when you start screening. This means it is not about going for screening. It's about following the procedure, following the guidelines, things that will guide you on what to do, what to look for, what to expect. That is what I'm talking about. And this will give you ways to lower cervical cancer risk. What are these guidelines? Number one, like I said, you need to discuss with your doctor to better tell you the right intervals. And this will be based on your age and what is going on in your life. Yes. And your health conditions. That's what I mean. So if you start at 21, you must have your pap smear test done every 3 years until you reach age 30. Next is, if you start at 25, you need to seek an HPV test first. For instance, if you have not been, you just heard it today that you must do, cervical cancer screening. Today is going to be the first day you will hear it from anybody on earth. And your age is already 25. You didn't do it when you are 20. You didn't do it when you are 21, 22, 23, 24. You now got the information and you want to go and do the screening at the age of 25. You need to seek first an HPV test before anything. Before you continue doing this screening. That's the first thing you will do. Yes. And that is HPV, human papilloma virus. It is not pap smear test. You will do first HPV test. Next is at age 30. If all screen tests so far have been normal, have HPV testing every 5 years. What does that mean? If you've been doing your tests, pap smear every year, and now you are 30 years of age, there is no abnormality. You don't have HPV, you don't have discharge, you don't have any problem with your cervix, your vagina, your uterus, everything is fine. Once you reach age 30, you have to do it every 5 years. Let's say you are now 30, everything has been fine. You're going to do it at the age of 35 after doing it 30. Except if you have symptoms at the age of 31, 32, 34, 33, 34, if you have any symptoms within that 5 years before you reach age 35, you have to go and do tests. But if there's no symptoms, no sign that can alert you that you have cancer, maybe possibly you have cancer, you don't have to do it, except if you have any symptom that can push you to do that. So you continue this screening until age 65. So 30, 35, 40, 45, then you continue like that. Now, if you have issue going on, you have to be doing it every year. If you are one time positive when you do your pap smear test or you do HPV test, you will be doing it every year to be sure that this is not cancerous. Because once you are positive of HPV, there is a possibility that you can have cervical cancer. So you have to monitor it every year and be doing it every year, all because you have been positive for this HPV before. But if you have not been positive of this, you are good to go. You can do it 5 years, intervals. Next is this. If you reach age 65, don't stop screening at 65 unless all the test results are normal. If one out of your from age 20 to 60 years is abnormal, is positive, you will continue from age 60 in the last 5 years. What does that mean? From age 20 to 30, that's 10 years right there. If you have any positive result there, you'll continue doing it even when you reach age 65. If you are 20 and from 20 to 25 you have positive results, and that is it is abnormal, yes, you may need to continue screening beyond age 65. That's it. Now you can lower your cervical cancer risk by doing the following. Number one, you want to quit smoking. Of course, what does it do for your body? Nothing. You want to stop smoking. Number two, you want to limit the number of male sexual partners. If you have one, stick to that one until you realize that this is not for you. Maybe you realize that it's like this, is here and here, but below keyboard. Then you need to run for your life. Limit it to one partner. Yes. And lastly, you want to use condom or diaphragms for birth control. This means that every other birth control is not really sure that you will not have cancer. So maybe diaphragm is safe. Condom, of course, condom is safe. Or abstinence, you don't have sex at all. Wow, okay. If you don't have sex, it means that if a man is having HPV, he will not transfer it to you. Yes. So it's only the condom and diaphragm that is safe if you are on birth control. But this will lower the cervical cancer risk. Yes. And it can help you prevent these diseases as well. Lowering the disease is different from preventing it. Lowering it is when you have a lot of things going on in your body and they ask you to eat this, do that to lower it, to lower the, what can cause that problem. They ask you to reduce the smoking. They ask you to limit this. That is, you are lowering the risk. But if they ask you to prevent it, that means you stop eating or doing that thing. That's what the prevention is all about. If you really want to prevent something, you stop doing something that will cause that thing that will make that thing effective. That is prevention. Now, let me tell you what you don't know when it comes to cervical cancer. This is what you don't know. An HPV infection, rather than sexual activity alone, is the factor that places people at risk. This is what you don't know. A lot of some of you that have 2, 3, 4 partners, 1 out of those 3 or 5 is having HPV, and that can be transmitted to you. Yes, you can be infected. Once a man carries HPV, he will definitely give it to you for free without paying for it. Of Belobadi. Yes. A lot of older women usually want to have a new sexual partner in their 50s, which can cause a new HPV infection that raises risk for cervical cancer, roughly 20 years later. Once you are 50, especially single mothers, they want to have boyfriend, they want to have partners. It's okay. At least we are all human beings. You must feed this body romantically, emotionally. It's okay. It's allowed. But be careful, because it's common among this age group. HPV is very common. Now, listen to this. If HPV test results are persistently negative through age 60, the risk of developing cervical cancer in your 70s is low. What does that mean? It means if you have been doing tests from age 20 till 65 and the result is negative, is persistently negative, forget it. Developing cervical cancer in your 70s is low. That does not mean you will not have it though. You may probably have it based on you not having sex, not doing this, not using all this birth control that can cause cancer. But you can have it through the food you eat if you are not eating healthy. Yes. And if the test results are persistently positive through age 65, the risk of developing cervical cancer in your 70 is high. Of course, you flip the coins. Yes. If this is not happening, this will happen. Take note of that. Now, it is obvious that some of you watching this video will ignore this message, this lecture, and move on with your unusual lifestyle. It's okay. Go ahead. Enjoy your life. Of course, after all, one life to live. Only one life to live. Let me tell you this, and this is the bottom line. Cervical cancer is one of the most preventable types of cancer. That means you should prevent it now. It was once a leading cause of cancer death here in the United States. But now, the rates have plummeted. The rates have dropped. Yes, you know why? Because regular screening with pap tests, pap smear tests, and human papilloma virus tests can help prevent the disease. And people have been going, there is awareness. This is what I'm doing now. This is awareness. I'm also advocating for you to go and do the screening. This is what we are talking about. Yes. The test can prevent the disease or catch it early when it is most treatable. So all these tests, all this screening, all this awareness, we are telling you, we are advocating, we are teaching, we are educating you to do this and do that. We are helping you to get it prevented on time. And that is why the rate of cancer death plummeted. Yes. It dropped. Because some of you listen and you take action immediately. So the lower rate of these people that fall into death of this cervical cancer are the people who hear this message and ignore. And meanwhile, something is going on in their life right now. They didn't go for tests. Yes. Now, with the recommended HPV vaccine for preteen girls and boys, I mentioned boys. You said, it's called. Yes, boys are involved, and they are also going to be vaccinated for HPV vaccine. You know why? Because when they grow, women can pass it to them. They will also pass it to women. That is why preteen girls and boys must be vaccinated. Because rates of cervical cancer should drop even further. We want to drop it. That's why you have to vaccinate your preteen. Yes, both girls and boys must be vaccinated. If you have preteen as a child, as a girls or boys, please vaccinate them as soon as possible. I'm serious, and this is a serious information I'm giving right here. And also, if you are on birth control, such as diaphragm for birth control, yes, this can also help prevent the disease as well. Or condom can help prevent, cervical cancer. Let me quickly run on 5 top foods that help to prevent cervical cancer. Number 1 is carrots. Carrots are not just for the eyes. They contain both beta-carotene and carotenoids. Yes, these directly defend against absorbing carcinogen into the body cell. So you want to eat more of carrots. You also want to drink green tea. Green tea is a popular alternative drink that is also well known for its numerous health benefits in general. So what that means is green tea does great things in our body apart from taking to prevent cervical cancer. So it works for so many things in our body. It's a very strong, powerful antioxidant drink. You want to live on that. Beans, lettuce, whole wheat bread. These 5 foods are food you can experiment on regularly to better prevent cervical cancer. Yes. So I hope today's lecture helps you to take immediate action. If you, all that I've said so far, if you realize that this is for me, I want you to please take action and see your health improving. See yourself glowing. See yourself living a stressless life, a good life. So thank you so much for joining us today. I'll see you next week with more information on health and nutrition tips. I'm Dr. Betty. Have a good night. Bye.
Thank you.